And I have talked my way through what I intended to do was take 2 phone calls here. I'm sorry. I promise I'll get to them here. William Buckley, in his book God and Man at Yale, wrote of the very premise that I just raised. Just a couple of lines that I will share with you when we get back. And I believe it sums it up well. Hang in there, be tough, my friends. Back before you know it here. And greetings to you, music lovers, thrill seekers, and conversationalists all across the fruited plain. Great to have you here. Telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882, and the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. You know, Trump was on Saturday Night Live. I didn't watch it. You know why I didn't watch it? Catherine said, I want to see it, but I don't want to stay up. She had other things to do. So I recorded it. I DVR'd. You know, we still haven't watched it. I got up the next day and I started reading reviews of it, and it didn't sound like it was even funny. Did any of you watch Trump on Saturday Night Live? You did? Was it any good? Was it funny? Wasn't well, it's supposed to be hysterical. I mean, it's a comedy show. It wasn't hysterical. It wasn't worth the hype. Okay, well, did it? You think it hurt Trump in any way? Didn't help? Okay. Well, may have helped him, and he could laugh at himself. You know what? The thing I read the most about it, and what the biggest uptake in the media was. You know who they really loved was Larry David pretending to be Bernie Sanders, calling Trump a racist. This guy stands up, you're a racist, you're a racist. And Trump says, why are you calling me that? Because somebody paid me $5,000 to say it. Trump, well, you know, I can respect that, a business thing. Okay, fine. And that was that. Then the media started speculating, did Larry David mean it? Oh, God, we hope he meant it. We hope we really meant Larry David meant it when he called Trump a racist. But anyway, I have another report about what happened on Saturday Night Live. And I didn't see it, but it was from the black co-anchor of the Weekend Update section. The co-anchor is African-American, Michelle Che or something like that. And she said in reference to the title of Trump's Crippled America, How to Make America Great Again, that whenever old white dudes start talking about the good old days, my Negro senses start tingling. And he went on to laugh at the idea that America was ever great. We could never have been great. We were racist. We had slavery. America was never great. It's a guy, right? I'm sorry. Well, it says Michelle up here. I miss it's Michael Che. Well, don't look at. I told you I didn't see it. I'm going on a report here. So blame the person telling me for crying. What difference does it make, male or female? Who are you to judge? Anyway, the point is a black, let's just call it metrosexual, okay? A black metrosexual, could have been transgender, could have been gay. Who is it for us to say? Talked about Trump's book and America's greatness. And when a white guy starts talking about greatness, my Negro senses start tingling because there ain't no greatness in America's past because of slavery and so forth. Here, grab soundbite number 25. We have a professorette here from Mizzou who was on Wolf Blitzer this afternoon on CNN. And the professorette's name is Stephanie Shonakan, or Shonakan. Shonakan, not sure how she pronounces it. The question from Wolf Blitzer was, how did things get so bad, Professor? How did they get so bad?
I think most recently the catalyst was last year when Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson. Our students realized that what they've been feeling here is linked to what happened just down the road. And so they started agitating for change on campus.
What? You mean the students were stuck on this peaceful, idyllic college campus, and just down the road there was protest and agitation, and the students on the peaceful, idyllic college campus wanted in on the action? Is that what we're to believe here? They saw Ferguson blow up, and they said, hey, we're not blowing up. We want in on the blowing up. Took an awful long time for this to fall out then. Ferguson happened over a year ago, well, longer ago than that. This thing just... Anyway, convenient excuse from the professor. Now back to this one little point here before we get back to the other audio sound bites, and that is from William F. Buckley, famous book, God and Man in Yale. He was a student at Yale, and he wrote of the discrimination against conservatism on campus and a number of other things. And it was suggested to him in his book that he include a couple of lines written by a man named Wilmore Kendall. And Buckley used those lines in the book. And this goes to what I was just discussing here about the point of youth and liberalism and fear of Christianity. And it's not just fear of Christianity, it's fear of Christians. Fear of religious people, because they represent a judgmental threat. Here are the two lines that Buckley included in God and a Man at Yale. And this is just another way of saying the point that I was trying to make before the program, the previous hour, ended. I believe, Buckley included here, I believe that the duel between Christianity and atheism is the most important in the world. And I further believe that the struggle between individualism and collectivism is the same struggle reproduced on another level. So we have a commingling here of individualism and Christianity with atheism and collectivism. Now, the people on the left who fear Christianity do not think of these people as individuals. That's where they miss the point. These young little millennials and leftists in journalism and wherever else they are, who have this irrational fear of the religious and of Christianity, do not think of them as individuals at all. They are the true brainwashed. To them, Christians are the epitome of mind-numbed robots. They are walking, talking automatons. And they all believe all of this stuff in the Bible that makes no sense, that's crazy and stupid and weird, and none of it can be proved in their life, in their belief. None of it can be proved. So they're idiots. Christians are non-thinkers. They're nothing more than sponges who soak this stuff up because they're looking for something better than there is on earth. And the atheist believes, of course, there's nothing but what's on earth. So these little liberals and leftists, with their fear of Christians and Christianity, miss totally who they are. They are not collectivists. They are not mind-numbed robots. They're actually fairly deep, and they're thinking, and in not all cases, obviously, but in most cases, they're independent. And you know what I've found of most Christians? Contrary to, this is going to shock a lot of you little leftists. You think that Christianity is made up, and everybody in it believes everything but nothing more. Everything. Literally what's in the Bible, and that's it, and they don't question any of it. And you couldn't be more wrong. One of the great things, one of the most fascinating things about Christianity to me is how, I don't know what the percentage is, obviously, but a good number of Christians are looking for more than is in the Bible. They're looking for some sort of concrete logic or proof that they can offer to themselves. It's the natural quest of the curious. They have the foundation of faith. That's what they believe. They believe the faith. They have faith in what can't be proven, which every religion does, including liberalism. But beyond that, there's this ongoing, even if it's private and internal and entirely inwardly and self-focused. I'll give you just a little example. And I've told you this story before. To me, my dad was Christian and deeply religious, and it mattered a great deal to him. He was a biblical scholar in his own right, taught Sunday school in addition to all that, but was constantly curious and looking for other ways to prove what he desperately wanted to believe and did believe on faith. So he told a story when I was real young, and I don't remember how old. We were driving in the car, and he said, when telling the story, he said that I asked him, why do you believe in God, and why do you believe in heaven? Or how do you know there's a heaven, or something? How do you know there's a God? Now, from his perspective, he believed in both. Here's his little son, me, 6 or 7 years old, asking the question. As a father, he wants his son to believe what he believes because he believes that what he believes is good and right and promising and so forth. But I'm 6 or 7. How does he can't quote the Bible to me. I'm 6 or 7. That isn't going to explain anything to me. All I'm going to say is, well, how do you know that's true? Why do you think that's right? He anticipated that whatever he read to me from the Bible, that I wouldn't be intellectually capable or old enough to accept, that I would have even more curiosity. So he devised a way to explain his belief. I've never forgotten it. And to me, it was extremely powerful. It isn't to a lot of people, but it is to me. The way he answered the question was to say that he believed in a loving God, and he asked me if I knew what that meant, and I said no. Remember, he's telling a story. I don't remember all the details of this because I was 5 or 6 when it was happening. Just started going to Sunday school, preschool thing, church and so forth. So he said, well, God is the father of creation. He to explain creation to me in a way that a 5 or 6-year-old would understand it. And he said, son, I just have a time. I'm going to condense this for you for the sake of time. He said, I just can't believe that the loving God of creation, in whom I deeply believe, could and would create beings like us, human beings, capable of contemplating such a place of beauty and serenity for it not to be true. That would be cruel. That would be one of the cruelest things a loving God could do, to create human beings who can't imagine, because they've been told it exists, a heaven where there is eternal life, and beyond that, who knows? He said, but it would be cruel beyond belief for a loving God to create beings who could fathom such a thing and live their lives in ways they believe would get them there, for it all to be a lie. And that did more for me to make me understand what his belief was than anything he could have read to me from the Bible. But my point is here that none of that's in the Bible. I don't think it is. He came up with that on his own, just as a means of explaining why he believed. Most liberals think Christians believe unquestioningly, and this is what scares them. And such is not the case. There's constant curiosity, testing. Malcolm Muggeridge, one of the world's foremost atheists, and incidentally an associate of Mr. Buckley's, began a quest to disprove Christianity on the basis that it was silly. He was a renowned British intellectual. He embarked on this crusade to prove that it couldn't possibly be. It's this story of the Bible. All of this is just, it's the biggest bunch of mush ever. And he ended up being, after his in-depth attempt to disprove it, he ended up being one of the most devout Christians ever, to the point that when he died, National Review referred to him as one of God's gargoyles. A gargoyle is a religious sculpture on a church, facial figure. And he and Buckley was a devout Catholic, of course, and had many interviews with Muggeridge on his show Firing Line and so forth. But I remember talking to Buckley about Malcolm Muggeridge, because the whole story fascinated me. And Muggeridge is not the only, by no means the only intellectual who was just didn't think it could possibly be true. Some of these biblical stories, you telling me Noah and the Ark, Old Testament, New Testament, it didn't matter. But particularly New Testament set out to disprove it once and for all and ended up being one of the biggest proselytizers. And that can't happen. My point is, for all you little squiggling little liberals, that can't happen without intellectual curiosity. Your fear of Christianity is so misplaced. You actually need to be afraid of your own leaders on the same basis you're afraid of Christians. If there's anybody intolerant and demanding and accepting of only one way to think and do it, it's the people you idolize. The mind-numbed robots are today's American left, who don't question anything, who don't have the slightest idea what's going on outside this little cocoon of a bubble they've constructed for themselves to live in. But I'm telling you, it is this fear of Christians that has the Democrat Party so much support. That's why so many Republicans got to get rid of the social issues. What they really mean by that is, stop talking about God. Will you stop talking? Just get the Christians to shut up. They're killing us. That's what all that means. I'm just telling you, I can read it. When you go out and read some of these people I'm talking about, including my little tech bloggers, but it's not just them. It's any liberal journalist, young people. This Ben Carson political story, they think Ben Carson is the biggest fruitcake they have ever encountered. He's bigger fruitcake than Sharon Angle, a bigger fruitcake than Sarah Palin, bigger fruitcake. They are scared to death. They think he's a genuinely mentally ill lunatic. And it's the fear of his devout Christianity that I believe is at the root of that. We will be back. Don't go away, folks.